Oh, God don't just why you go marry? So you get the money, why you the jolly? Yesterday I'm wrong, today not the phone. Today now I'm more do you. I put my book out, don't kill yourself. Break one already. Waiting if I like you want discover go back. Yeah, you want discover go back. Discover go back. Yeah, you want discover go back. Discover go back. Yeah, until you discover go back. Discover go back. Keep it the back. Discover go back.
Come here.
Auntie Patricia, men have been knocking, and then no boss is knocking. Coco, who you go answer? You still dey do shakara. And if them asking you say, how many are the same? But if how many the same? So pick one already. It don't they look like you want discover Mugupa. Yeah, you want discover Mugupa. Discover Mugupa. Yeah, you want discover Mugupa. Discover Mugupa. Yeah, until you discover Mugupa. Discover Mugupa. Give it the back in your face. Discover Mugupa.
Come here.
Oga Fukurosa, I pass by the wall. I buy my motor, I say it beats me loco. Assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam. Abuki the hosu, you dey find me you promote. If you say that you do, then go do your own. No dey Fukurosa, you want discover Mugupa. Yeah, you want discover Mugupa. Discover Mugupa. Yeah, you want discover Mugupa. Discover Mugupa. Yeah, until you discover Mugupa. Discover Mugupa. Give it that back in your face. Discover Mugupa. Yeah, you want discover Mugupa. Discover Mugupa. Yeah, you want discover Mugupa. Discover Mugupa. Yeah, until you discover Mugupa. Discover Mugupa. Give it that back in your face. Discover Mugupa.
All work, no play. Yeah, right. Got a ball. Let's go. Hey. Life is good, man. Always on my grind, man. So I got to ball. Yeah. So I got to ball. Life is good, man. Always on my grind, man. So I got to ball. So I got to ball. I'm on my grind. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Hey, just to stay on top of the game. They're on the grind too. Hey, just to bring me down. They don't be a little while. Now I'm out here chilling with my homies and we're sipping with the ladies, getting crazy. Ay, yeah, life is good. It's good. So I got to grind. Hey, life is good. Yeah, always on my grind, man. So I got to ball. So I got to ball. Got to spend that money. Now I'm chillin' in the club, poppin' champagne. Yeah, I'm spending money everywhere like it's nothing. Now the girls that love me and haters always gonna hate me. Yeah, I'm drinking Hennessy and Coke on the rocks, Rose Nouveau on the side. gotta bow, 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 bow. Hey, hey, bow, 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 bow. Hey, bow, 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 bow. Got to spend that money. What a guan. Hey. So you won't be a banner, but you don't have a cheddar. Your mama calls you up on the grip. Chillin' with the LIB boys, them a call. Them a call we. Please don't take us away with the shit. She and brother, she and governor. Fighting the girls, them move like them swagger. You like it, they don't really play. Them a real deal. If you want play, don't play around them tears. Boy, I don't get bust in the face. Yeah, could be that you don't play. Always on my grind, so I got to grind. So I gotta wow. Life is kind, always on my grind, so I got to wow. So I gotta wow. Bow, 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 yeah, man. Shout out to anybody that work hard. Hard work pays off. Scam when they don't make money.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Africa Teaching, a production of Pepperbird Magazine. I'm Karen McGraw Chesson, your host. Today we are at the Black Loyalist Heritage Center in Shelburne, actually Birchtown, Nova Scotia. And with me is Caitlin Wesley, who is
senior interpreter here.
A senior interpreter here, and she's going to walk us through a tour of the Heritage Center. So you're in for a treat. Join us as we move along.
So I'm going to give you a card. Each guest actually gets a card that has individual names on it. They're actual names of Black Loyalists that landed here in Nova Scotia in 1783. They could have been entered into the Book of Negroes, or they were too young to actually have a name at that time. So as you go through each of the podiums, you'll understand their life. First podium will tell you about when they were born or if they were enslaved. Each podium will tell you certain events of their life, and by the end of the podiums you'll know if there's any descendants left of this person and their individual life.
Excellent.
All right?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So the next part of the tour, it goes through the timeline. Now the timeline wall starts in the 1500s in Africa and goes the whole way down the wall to present day society.
Okay.
So it will start from the 1500s, goes into 1775, 1783, 1784, 1792, and then present day. The first screen on this wall actually is a simple timeline. It starts from year 1 and works its way all the way down to present day. All you have to do is tap on the date and it drops your information down about that date. Now the rest of the screens along this building, they actually get really in depth with everything. So they'll talk about who were the Black Loyalists. So it goes into 1775. Before that, it will talk about the slave trade, the Middle Passage. It will talk about how they actually ended up in the United States. And then it goes into 1775, which talks about the American Revolutionary War.
Okay.
So we'll talk about 2 proclamations that were put out in 1775. One was put out and it actually stated that if any indentured or slaves or black people to leave the rebels and come fight with the British, they would actually receive their certificate of freedom. Then another one came out in 1779 and stated pretty well the exact same thing. If anyone were to leave the rebels and come fight with the British, they would receive their certificate of freedom, which led to thousands and thousands of them to actually leave and come fight with the British.
Were there any women who fought with the
Yes,
British?
yes. Now, women actually fought in different ways than men. Women would have, taken care of the clothes, made sure the men actually got fed. Any possible way that a woman could actually step foot and fight for their freedom is what they would have done. So it could have been any way possible.
So they too could
Receive their yes, exactly.
Okay.
After that, it will actually go into talking about their certificate of freedom allowed them to be entered into the Book of Negroes, which had led thousands of them to come up here to Nova Scotia.
Who was the keeper of the Book of Negroes?
Now there's two Book of Negroes that were actually put out. There was a British copy, and then there was an American copy. The Americans actually received a copy because they actually wanted to make sure that the ones that were entered into the Book of Negroes were still not property of someone. If you were a property of mine, then that meant I could still own you if I was an American.
Right.
But if you actually fought with the British for about 12 months or more, and you had that certificate of freedom, you were free. You were allowed to be entered into the book, and you were allowed to actually leave New York Harbor. So the Americans actually could fight back to say, you're still my property, but if you had that certificate of freedom, you actually could state that, no, I'm free. I fought with the British for such an amount of time, I did receive this. So when they were entered now into the Book of Negroes, they had their name, their date of birth, or how old they were, a little description, and a little description usually was probably 2-3 words long. That's about it. They would describe you if you were a fellow wench, a stocky fellow, anything just to quickly identify you. After that, they would have put you in if you were actually an indentured still. If you were still an indentured, you would actually see indentured right across the paper to state that you were indentured. Now after that, it would give you a little section where it said, where you could actually say you escaped from this person, or your owner gave you the right to leave to go get your freedom. So in the book, it does actually state those. Then it goes into 1783, which was when they actually left New York Harbor to come up to Nova Scotia.
Okay, now can we go over to this?
Yes! So yes, so the screens all in here are touchscreen. So like I was saying, it starts from the slave trade, it goes into stolen from Africa, which would be, the Middle Passage, stuff like that. We'll talk about how actual Africans had taken Africans from communities and put them as slaves so they could sell them and stuff. Then it goes into the American Revolutionary War. Like I was stating, I'll tell you about the proclamations. And I'll tell you how they had their certificate of freedom. It will tell you that about 3,000 of them actually were listed into the Book of Negroes.
Did the Black Loyalists name themselves as such, or were they named such by the British?
They were more or less named by the British because of they were loyal to the British for such an amount of time, but they were also considered black. So it was the more or less that you were loyal to me, then you're loyal. So that's how the loyalty came in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So then after the 1783, it goes into when we actually arrived here. We'll say Birchtown. We actually arrived here in Birchtown off the ships. Now, you actually didn't arrive here in Birchtown at that time. You actually arrived here in Shelburne.
Okay.
You would have had to walk from Shelburne all the way
To
up here.
Birchtown.
Exactly.
Shelburne to Birchtown is how many miles?
I would say it's about 10 kilometers.
So 10 kilometers.
And not just me driving, it's 10 kilometers. Now, they wouldn't have had the roads nowadays. They would have actually had to walk the shoreline, which would have been a lot more. It would have been, yes. It would have taken them a long time. Yeah.
And now, these folks came from New York,
Yes.
the port of New York, to Shelburne.
Yep.
And then they had to walk to Birchtown.
And Birchtown at that time
Was this through the woods?
Pretty well. Yep.
Yeah, it was all woods.
Yeah, it was all woods. Nothing was surveyed. This land here in Birchtown actually was never surveyed.
Okay.
When they arrived, it was not surveyed, and it was not cleared.
Okay.
So when they landed here in a forest.
Okay.
So they had to live
With whatever possessions they could walk with.
Exactly. That is all they had when they arrived. They never had anything to build a house. They had nothing to build anything or start anything. So when they came, they had to start their life as best as they could. And that was a hard...
On their own, no money.
No, nothing.
But the certificate.
Exactly. You had that certificate, and that meant you were free. So once you had that, you probably felt like the world didn't matter at that time because you knew you had no slave owners to tend to. You had nothing like that.
Yes.
So yeah. The next screen actually talks about Birchtown. So when we go into the screen about Birchtown, it will actually tell you that when they went to work, they actually had to go into Shelburne to go and work if they had to have a job. So if you could imagine, you would be out here in Birchtown, and then all of a sudden, all right, I'm up in the morning, I know I have to walk more than 10 kilometers just to get to work.
How did that network? How did that happen? Because, you know, when you have X number of people coming by themselves
I know.
to a strange land.
Yeah.
So Birchtown. Were they the people who named it Birchtown?
Yes,
No.
and do you know how they got the name of Birchtown? From the name of the Certificate of Freedom.
Okay.
General Birch actually signed their Certificate of Freedom, and that's how Birchtown got its name. It was from General Birch.
Okay.
So yeah, Birchtown was named
So they
from the
kind of
Black Loyalists.
honored him.
Exactly, because if he never signed it, they probably would never have been able to get their Certificate of Freedom. So with Birchtown being Birchtown, the Black Loyalists actually named it Birchtown because that was the only thing that they had. This was home. This is their life now, and no one else was out here except for them. And that's when the big laws actually, you know, were the only other ones that they could associate with. Because
They were occupied.
okay.
So they didn't feel like they were being encroached upon?
No, because the land here actually was just nothing. It was not, and if you could notice that there's all kinds of rocks, the rocks here made it hard for them to live because you couldn't grow anything. You couldn't, you know, harvest anything. To keep your livestock well and stuff, you just couldn't do it because the land here is not fit for that. So that's when they knew that they had to work to make their living, to make them be able to have their food for their tables. And living here was not easy because they actually lived in a pit house. Now, a pit house is a replica makeshift shelter. They would have dug a hole and would have put up lumber and would have packed in some moss or dirt or mud, whatever they could find to make this insulated. The only time they ever used it was to sleep in. They never cooked, they never played, nothing like that. It was strictly for sleeping. Exactly. Yeah. So that was like life here in Birchtown. In 1784, we did have Canada's largest riot that broke out.
Okay, in 1984.
In 1784. So in 1784, the White Loyalists actually burned out Black Loyalists, which meant that they blocked off every entrance into Shelburne, so they could not get into town. They actually even burned out some of the pit houses, so we don't have all the pit houses standing. We don't have very many to even say there was pit houses. Just the fact that the White Loyalists did this. White Loyalists like Black Loyalists were actually getting paid more money than they were taking their jobs.
Yeah, I think it's more taking their jobs.
Yeah, and it wasn't the case because Black Loyalists didn't get paid as much as they should have because they did more work than the White Loyalists did. Our roads in Shelburne actually were made by Black Loyalists, and if it wasn't for the Black Loyalists, Shelburne town wouldn't really exist because those roads were cleared and made by the Black Loyalists. So, yeah. We do have a very important leader that after the riot happened, he actually went to England to plead to the British government. Now, Thomas Peter is his name, and he actually went and he said to the government that this is not what the Black Loyalists were promised, because they were promised land, freedom, and protection. They didn't get it, because their land grants didn't come for years and years and years. Their protection, they had the riot, they burnt out. Freedom, yes, they got that, but it was still not what they expected. So when he went there and he stated to them that this is not what they were promised, a year later they came back and said, listen, you have three options. You can live in Nova Scotia as best as you can, take land grants when you get them, or
when you get them.
When you get them.
Like, first of all,
exactly.
they didn't have post offices.
Exactly. They had nothing here to...
And they've created their own space. They're not even on the map for all intended purposes.
Yep.
The only people who probably knew they were here were the white.
Exactly.
We're not going to the black.
Exactly. So it was hard for them. It could have been 20 years down the road. It could have been whenever those land grants came. Yeah, exactly. And that's why he didn't, like he said, there's not what they promised. So the last option was you could actually leave free transportation to actually go to Sierra Leone, which actually leads to
a free trip.
A free trip to Sierra Leone.
You want a free trip.
Yeah. Your free
you won't
transportation.
Give them the money.
But we'll
to
take
get
you.
established, but we'll
take you
ship
over.
you out of here.
Exactly. So what happened was there was 15 ships actually in Halifax Harbor, and that's where you could actually get on the ships and would take you to Sierra Leone, and that's when Freetown was established, because that's a Black Loyalist landing. So that actually goes into the next screen, which talks about the exodus to Sierra Leone. So yes, the exodus to Sierra Leone, it was 1/3 of the population that actually left to go back to Sierra Leone. There was broken promises as the same as when they arrived here. Things that they were promised, never got. Their life was really hard over there, but when they went and they signed up for going over to Sierra Leone, they actually thought, well, I know how to live in the weather. Their winters are nothing like Nova Scotia.
Right.
Their land they can actually grow crops in. Unlike here in Birchtown, there's no way possible you could grow a garden. And they knew that they would have life. So what happened was when they went over, that's not what they got. Once again, they did not receive any of that. But they knew if we fought for this and we can live through this, that we could make it, which led into the FREETOWN, which is now the Black Loyalists landing for it. So yeah, all you have to do is tap on the screens and there comes up titles, everything like that. So yeah, building FREETOWN, they tried to build it as what they knew.
Right.
Building it was, trying to make buildings as what they've seen in the States.
Yes.
That they didn't have the materials to build a house the way a house should probably look.
Right.
So it took them years and years to actually get that going. So it was harder on them than they ever thought about going back to their homeland. So, yeah. Then the last screen on the wall is very interesting because it talks about present day. So in present day, it talks about the society that's going on right now. It also talks about descendants in the community. So I will let you know, now that is left here in Birchtown, there are 7 families left that are actual Black Loyalist descendants.
Wow.
Yes.
7 out of how many?
It should have been 1,500 that are actually here in Birchtown. That was the people that were here. Now there's only 7 of us, and I will let you know, me and Jesse are one. So Jesse's a family and I'm a family.
Wow. So that's 2 out of the...
Yeah, 2 out of 7 that actually...
2 out of 7 out of the 1,500.
Yeah. So there's That's what Birchtown is left of. So it slowly seems like it's going, but hopefully it will pick up again and make this community another
more vibrant.
Exactly.
Wow.
And then we also have this really attracts a lot of people here. Called the Book of Negroes.
Yes.
A lot of people even just come in and see if they can find their name or their last name that is in this book.
Right.
Because we are very lucky to have search bars. You can actually search for last names or anything like that to see if you even have any descendants or ancestors in this Book of Negroes.
Wow.
You can flip through the pages, which we're able to do, or, like I said, you can search for names to see if they even come up.
Wow.
Now, when they come up, they will tell you the vessel name and the commander of the ship.
Wow.
It will also tell you where they were bound for, the name of the person, and it will tell you their age when they were entered into the Book of Negroes. And then when you click on the book symbol, it actually brings you up to the page that they're actually entered on into the
Now,
book.
if I entered a name,
So just, the back button.
okay, could I just do the last name?
Yes.
All work, no play. Yeah, right. Got a ball. Let's go.
Hey, hey, life is good, man. Always on my grind, man. So I got to ball. Yeah, so I got to ball. Life is good, man. Always on my grind, man. So I got to ball. So I got to ball. I'm on my grind, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, hey, just to stay on top of the game. They're on the grind too, hey, just to bring me down. There's no better than a wow. I'm out here chilling with my homies and we're sipping with the ladies, getting crazy. Ay, yeah, life is good. It's good. So I got my grind. So I got life is good. Yeah, always on my grind. So I got.
Well, folks, we have the pleasure of having Jessie Corrigan, who is a Black Loyalist descendant, and she attended the old Birch School, which is currently a museum. So I'm all excited about seeing what you grew up attending school. So was this from what grade?
This was probably from grade primary to grade 6.
Okay.
So I went to school here until 1960 when they closed it down because they had built a new school over here on the road, which is now the community center. My mother, my aunts, my cousins all went to school here too. 1934, 1938, 1943, 1944, and the school has not changed. It still looks the same as it was when I was young. The boys went in one door, the girls went in the other door. There was a potbelly stove in the middle of the floor, and the outhouse was out back. Wow. So we had the outhouse out back.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Yes, not a problem.
Yeah. So let's go see the inside.
All work, no play. Yeah, right. Got a ball. Let's go.
Hey, hey, life is good, man. Always on my grind, man. So I got to ball. Yeah, so I got to ball. Life is good, man. Always on my grind, man. So I got to ball. So I got to ball. too. Ay, just to bring me down, down, down. There's no better in the world. Now I'm out here chilling with my homies and we're sipping with the ladies, getting crazy. Ay, yeah, life is good. Life is good.
This building was built circa 1833.
Oh, God don't just why you go marry? So you get the money, why you dey jolly? Yesterday I'm love, today na level. Today na more dudu. I come up don't kill yourself. Make one already. Waiting they fight like you want. Discover go back. Yeah, you want. Discover go back. Discover go back. Yeah, you want. Discover go back. Discover go back. Yeah, until you discover go back. Discover go back. Keep it down, discover go back.
Come here.
Auntie Patricia, Party Patricia. Men have been knocking, and men no boss is knocking. Coco, who you go answer? You still a bishakara. And if them asking you say, how men are the same? But if all men the same, pick one already. It don't they look like you want discover go back. Yeah, you want discover go back. Discover go back. Yeah, you want discover go back. Discover go back. Yeah, until you discover go back. Discover go back. You better pack in your face. Discover go back.
50%.
50%.
50%. Did you know that if you're between the ages of 18 and 35, you're 10 times more likely to die from a car crash?
Increase your odds by 50%.
Just by wearing a seatbelt.
It can make the difference between living or dying.
I know this.
We know this.
Do you?
So click it or ticket. Seatbelts save lives.
Okay, this is the Anglican Church here in Birchtown. It was started to be built in 1888 and they finished it in 1905. It still looks the same as when I was growing up. Hasn't changed. The only thing that's changed, it used to be stained glass windows, but they deteriorated. So all the windows in there now are people that's donated money for the people that passed away and put them in the church. Yes.
All work, no play. Yeah, right. Got a ball. Let's go. Hey, hey. Life is good, man. Always on my grind, man. So I got to ball. Yeah, so I got to ball. Life is good, man. Always on my grind, man. So I got to ball. So I got to ball.
one you can get into. And when they picked them out of Shelburne and then they came to Birchtown, they didn't have any tools to build any houses, so this is what they had to dig a hole in the ground so that they can live in this.
That was smart.
And they thought that they could only do it for a year, but I think it was more than a year.
Oh, God don't just why you go marry? So you get the money, why you dey jolly? Yesterday on love, today na level. Say now more do you? I come up don't kill yourself. Make one already. Waiting they fight like you want. Discover go back. Yeah, you want discover go back. Discover go back. Yeah, you want discover go back. Discover go back. Yeah, until you discover go back. Discover go back. Keep it go back. Discover go back.
Come here.
Auntie Patricia, Party Patricia. Men have been knocking, and men no boss is knocking. Coco, who you go answer? You still a do shakara. And if them asking you say, how men are the same? But if how men the same? Make one already. It don't they look like you want discover go back. Yeah, you want discover go back. Discover go back. Yeah, you want discover go back. Discover go back.